if you follow my material, you know I talk about the value trinity, right? And the value trinity is this. If I can help a customer, and I'm talking about a B2B scenario, increase revenue, reduce costs, or expand market share. These are three key things. If I can tie my features, my services, my benefits to increase revenue, reduce costs, or expand market share, then I'm providing quantifiable value, like straight up value, right? So have that in mind. So let me back up because I get too excited sometimes about this stuff because this is, once you get it, it's like you get it. You know what I mean? It's like you understand the brain, right? That's why I always talk about finding the why and how people buy, because once you understand it, you get it. So number one, I told you already that people tend to forget a lot of the information. So we know that already. It's a weakness of the brain, right? So we know that we have to be memorable. Great. Going into the presentation, we know that we're going to have about 30 minutes. Could be 45, could be an hour. Who cares? 30 minutes. Now, we also know that we have to make sure that we land at this point. When we land there are three things we want them to remember. Three things, just three things, right? Because beyond three, they're going to start forgetting things. But three things becomes very memorable. It's a magic number. So now, if you believe what I am telling you right now, then if we can tie these three things into increase revenue, reduce costs, or expand market share, then I think we have a good plan. So let me clear this out. Let me clear it out, okay? So now, we're going to start our presentation here at A. We're going to run all the way to Z, which is the end of the presentation, in 30 minutes. Now, what are the three things you want them to remember? That's one. So we want them to remember 1, 2, 3 things. Now, notice that I'm asking you to think about when you're building your presentation, don't start from the front, start from the back, where you want to land. We call this sticking the landing, right? This is where you want to land, right? So if we know the top 3 things we want them to remember, all we have to do is make sure they remember these 3 things, right? They're going to remember 3 things, but you want to tie them to increase revenue, reduce costs, or expand market share. Increase revenue, reduce costs, expand market share. You get it? Increase revenue, reduce costs, expand market share. So I'm going to look at 3 things. And watch how easy this is. Once I show you how to do this, it's going to be magical for you. I'm telling you, your presentations will change. So let's go slowly. I'm selling, and I always like to use a SaaS product, right? Software as a service. It's a software platform I'm trying to sell. Some sophisticated CRM system, I don't know, right? And I know that when I land here, I have to give them something memorable. But that memorability, what they remember, has to be of value to them. Increase revenue, reduce costs, expand market share. Just bear with me. Just hang in there, man. This is going to get good. So let's say that I write out these numbers. What if I just write out 15, 30, 60, right? 15, 30, 60. That's all I'm going to write out, right? Now, if I were to introduce this as a slide right here, Mr. Customer, at the end of the presentation, all I want you to do is remember this sequence of numbers right here. Now, I'm going to say that at the beginning of the presentation because I know where I'm going to land. I'm going to land right there. But what if I prime your brain? I condition your brain to say, Mr. Customer, before I start the presentation, here's the one thing I want you to remember. I just want you to remember this sequence of numbers, 15, 30, and 60. Now, when you do that to a person or an audience, right? This is called the Zargonic effect. The Zargonic effect is a psychological effect that it feels when something's incomplete, it creates this tension of the brain that maintains your attention. It creates tension to maintain attention. For example, you ever watch a movie and just as they're getting to the good part, they cut to commercial. Does that ever happen?